Most of us are eagerly anticipating the long-awaited release of Mass Effect Andromeda, and in the meantime, while we all wait, a lot of us are likely to be replaying the original trilogy to give ourselves a refresher and a revisit to the universe we love so much. But surely it has crossed most of our minds that while we are looking forward to new and exciting things in the Andromeda galaxy, there are a few things that can be learnt from the original trilogy to make for a much better experience in the new game. Hey everyone, Ash here from Mass Effect Odyssey, and today we'll be looking at 5 things Mass Effect Andromeda can learn from the original Mass Effect trilogy. While Mass Effect 1 and 2 both have good, more rounded out endings, although the human we put at the end of Mass Effect 2 always creeped me out a little bit, Mass Effect 3 did cause some criticism for having a rushed ending that had little in the way of definitive finality, as well as having an ending that was said to have a copy and paste attitude to it, mainly because the red, green and blue endings being extremely similar. Some would say exactly the same. This was so controversial that BioWare went ahead and made the extended cut DLC, and while this helped out a lot for most people, some people were still unhappy that it had to get to that point in the first place. With Andromeda, BioWare has taken its time, even delaying the release until early 2017 to make sure that they get this right, but some are still slightly skeptical, and with good reason, but for now we'll just have to wait and see. As stated by the developers, in Andromeda we'll be part of an untested team who, rather than already being a well-known hero like Shepard, will be on a journey where their actions during the game will gradually move them to the hero status, unless you go all evil of course. But what the original trilogy had was the memorable characters that we became so invested in, we found ourselves wanting to know more about them, wanting to be a part of their lives. But what BioWare has done is made the original trilogy characters so loved, the good ones anyway, that they will have to do a really good job with the new cast of characters in Mass Effect Andromeda so that we accept them and love them as much as we did the original cast in the original trilogy. This will be a huge task for BioWare, a huge task indeed. In the first Mass Effect, the Mako, while earning a special place in people's hearts for varying reasons, was a handful to say the least. It was horribly difficult to control, even staying in a straight line was about as easy as getting a chocolate kettle to work. BioWare have recently stated that there will only be one drivable vehicle in Mass Effect Andromeda, the Mako, and with exploration now being a huge factor, they've got to get this right. From what we've seen of the new Mako so far, it seems more stable, quicker, agile, and super quick too. There is also, as far as we can see, no kind of defense on this new design, no main gun or anything visible on the surface, although maybe this is something that we can add as a customizable option later on. But whatever happens, BioWare are trying to make the Mako something that people love to drive, an integral part of the overall experience in the new game. And going by their first attempt in Mass Effect 1, they probably need to get this one right first time. DLC and season passes have been under scrutiny in recent years, mainly with the cost being too much for what we are getting, or not getting as it seems. Paying a lot for very little after already paying full price for the main game. While Mass Effect single-player DLC throughout the trilogy were welcome additions, for the most part anyway, pricing was somewhat hit and miss. Mass Effect is by no means the worst offender in this, in fact some of the DLC is actually quite fairly priced, and the season passes for Mass Effect 2 and 3 were released in the time when the cost of a season pass were much less back then, rather than the lofty sums you would have to pay today. What BioWare could possibly benefit from in the single player firstly is to have a much bigger DLC but released less frequently, maybe 2 or 3 5 to 15 gig sized DLCs that will last longer than a few hours, so as to get a feeling of money well spent on more in-depth and, for want of a better word, juicier DLC story. And as for the multiplayer, BioWare could take a page from 343 Industries' book with Halo 5 and offer all updates, for example new maps and various different modes, for free. This would then give them a much fairer balance between paying for the single player DLC or a reduced price for a single player season pass, but still get free stuff on the multiplayer side of things. But next to nothing has been confirmed with DLC for Mass Effect Andromeda, so for the moment, yet again, We'll just have to wait and see. The term open world in the gaming industry can mean various things these days. To some, open world can mean a large area to explore but still have its limitations or boundaries. Games like Dragon Age Inquisition and The Division are examples of this. Very large areas where you can go anywhere within its boundaries but can't go everywhere. If we look at the first Mass Effect, it's very clear that BioWare wanted the whole space exploration feel back then, but unfortunately the planets were very samey and bland, and just weren't all that exciting to explore. Looking at concept art for Mass Effect Andromeda, BioWare seems to be righting this wrong for the first game by trying to make beautiful and intriguing worlds teeming with new life and new things to discover. With the first Mass Effect, BioWare were laying the foundations of what they truly wanted to do with the franchise. Even tweets from the devs have said that Andromeda is the game that they've always wanted to make in the Mass Effect universe. Leaks for the game have also teased that there could be a seamless open world or universe, but as to whether today's console technology can really give us a seamless open world, again we will have to wait and see. So there you go, 5 things that Mass Effect Andromeda can possibly learn from the original Mass Effect trilogy. But what do you think? What else could Andromeda learn from the original trilogy? We want to know what you think down in the comments below. As always, you can subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on all things Mass Effect, and you can help the channel to grow by sharing the video too. Thanks for watching, we'll see you again very soon.